What's up, gamers? We're in FL Studio. This is the first time I'm actually gonna like do something live for a video, unscripted video. I have some ideas. I want to talk about vocal chops. Let me open up SliceX. This is SliceX.
Hot to do first man.
I just put in a acapella into SliceX.
For your game now I'm off.
I'm just right-clicking on these samples to play them. So I want to talk about the best way of doing vocal chops, in my opinion. I've never seen anybody really do it this way that I'm about to show you, which I think is pretty cool. Automatically, when I put this acapella in, it already chopped it up a bit. Like, you can see all these markers here. I can zoom in. Automatically, it added all these notes, and that's because if you have this auto dump on, I'll just delete all of these. Every time you change one of these markers, hey, whoa. And you can even see them, like, updating over there, which is, you know, oh. So now you have all these like slices. I've tried to create like a pattern here. It was basically just putting down random notes. It's okay, it's nothing special. What I'm gonna do, and this is the cool part, is go into the marker zone and detect pitch regions. As you can see instantly, what it's done, like on the sides, you have all these notes now. And what it's done is like it's made all these cuts based on notes. So it's like analyzed this voice and it was like, oh hey, this is a C sharp 5.
Hot.
And this is, well, I mean, that's not really a note, but it tried its best and it got a D sharp, so whatever, we'll give it that. But a lot of these are actually going to be in the note.
Hot do.
That's really cool. So that's F sharp and this is C sharp. So now we have some notes. And then you can like start to make a melody within a key. So if I wanted to stay in C major, well then I'm also looking for the longer notes that are being held down, not so much the because that's not really cool. So, and I'm also looking for the notes on the left, and not particularly like if it was here. These wouldn't actually equate to whatever note it's playing. You have to look at the ones on the side. These note names do change to whatever note it actually is being played. So if I move this up, you know, the note above E is an F. However, oh, it's a D. Isn't that so weird? Like, wow, that's crazy. But then we also have tons of these notes that aren't actually in the key. But it's a really nice tone, the way she like holds it down. So I would like to use it. However, if I really did want to stay in C major, well then we have to put this F sharp into the key of C major, which is either going to be a G or a F. To get from F sharp to G, you go up one note. So how we do this is we use a slide note. I'm going to make it kind of short so it just goes up quickly, because the longer these are, the slower it takes to get to that note. So it would be like, and that'd be a little weird. But if I make it really short, it'll be like a pitch bend effect. It'll be like, so then that's taking this F sharp note and it's just shifting up to G. And I know it's kind of confusing because it actually says G, so you'd think, oh yeah, that's G. But if I was to move this down, it would say C sharp. But actually, you need to think of this slide note in relation to the one on top of it. So really, it's taking the F sharp down to an F, not a C5, not a C sharp 5. So that's kind of confusing. But if you know, like, oh yeah, the note that I want it to go to is just one semitone or a couple semitones. Like if I want to take this F sharp to not F, but E, so that's 2 semitones. Then that's also says C sharp, but we know, you know, it's going 1, 2. So that's 2 semitones lower. So I know this is going down to an E, so I could like make this an octave lower or an octave higher. It's still going to be an E because it's still like the same octave, but it's just an octave higher now. Here is good old Scream. This is I hope you've seen that. This project file, along with many others, is available to download for all my Patreons. This is the Patreon plug. It's on Patreon. If you Patreon me, you can Patreon this project file. So part of the drops have this vocal chop going on. So this is very similar to other examples I've used, pitching them up and down to fit whatever melody that I want. What I've done the second time around was just added a few notes from a synth to layer over the actual notes. Nothing too crazy, pretty much just the same stuff that I talked about before, except this time it's just used in the context of an actual song, not just random notes. Damn, this is a big project file. How long did I work on this for? Oh my god, look at this project file. What? I have 75 hours on this, wow. Here's another example of vocal chops. And in the background, you can hear the chords. These are some simple chords. You might think that, oh yeah, you can just put these notes down right over on the notes of the chords, because that's definitely going to be in the key of the track. And I thought so too, because like you can see like, oh, D, and like, yeah, they're going right over the notes. But actually what's happening is that these are just random order of notes. It's not in any order or anything. So it's not an actual like keyboard scale. So it's just a coincidence that these two notes are layered over these other notes. However, you can still see like these pitch bend things that I was talking about from earlier. I'm pretty sure I could have pitched it less to get in the key, but I probably thought, oh no, this is just a nicer note. It works better in the melody. And also notice that like this part kind of repeats here. These repeat as well, but then like it's the same sample, but then this one's going down in notes, and then this time it's going up in notes, and these are the same sample. There's a lot of patterns, even though sometimes it's slightly altered, but there's a lot of similarities between the two halves, which is good. You're creating a sort of a rhythm or a pattern, and music is full of patterns, and that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve with the vocal chops as well. If we look inside SliceX, then you can see our samples. What is this? I know what that is. These have all been pitched down an octave. Yeah, I like that. I like that lower. Kind of makes the vocal sound a little bit more mysterious. He can't really detect what they were originally from. So if we go to our mixer track, this is where all our post-processing is. Let me turn it all off. You can turn it all off just by clicking that little lamp thing. Wow. So the first one we have is the pitcher. What this is doing is that it's being set to the key of the track. So if there's any notes that aren't actually in the key of G major that I might have pitched incorrectly, or maybe SliceX like detected them wrong, then this will just make sure that it really is in the key of G major, so I don't need to worry about it. Sometimes maybe the pitch sample has like a pitch bend in it, like a bit of a wobble, so that might like try and correct it. Although it won't do it perfectly. Pitcher also can make mistakes, so it can react weirdly at times. So you might also get like weird artifacts just by using pitcher in ways that you might not have expected. Then you also have this formant pitch thing, which is really cool. You can do a lot of stuff with this. Again, changing the whole sort of timbre of the sound. If you turn it up, you'll turn the sound into a more feminine sound, a more higher pitched sound really. And if you turn it down, you'll make it lower. When we're changing the formant, we're just shifting the high part around, but it still will stay on whatever note it's supposed to be. Yep, that's definitely more feminine. But you can hear that, the shifting of the formants. It definitely does make a different sort of sound quality. And we'll check out another project where I'm doing a lot of stuff automating this to really evolve the sound. Then I have another pitcher, and it's not actually doing anything at the moment, because if you look in the bottom left corner, we have this port number. And if I go to a MIDI out, you can create one of these. It does nothing, like it's an instrument, but it won't actually play any sound. But as long as this port number is set to the same number as the pitcher, and it could be any number, it can be 31, if I change it to 31. So now that these are the same number, if I'm playing on my keyboard, it will go actually to that pitcher and change it. If I turn it to 30, oh, it doesn't work no more. I change it to 31, hey, it's going to this thing. You could draw a melody. If you already had a melody in mind, you could literally just draw that in here like a MIDI clip and it would shift. It would like all the audio, all the vocals going into here would be shifted to F and then to G or A. So you could actually make like a whole melody line, write it down, and it will shift it to the notes that you're holding down. Again, you kind of hear the imperfections of picture. You hear the voice going, it doesn't know what to do exactly, but it's a cool byproduct in a way. Oh, by the way, MIDI needs to be on so that otherwise you wouldn't get that option. And octave. So with octave on, then it recognizes a difference between a low G and a high G. So if I hold down the G3, that's it trying to shift to G3, and then that's it all shifting to G5 instead. So it can differentiate with the different octaves. And then you also have harmonize, and you would actually be able to hold down a chord this way. You can't without it. So after the pictures, we have a bit of bit crushing, which I thought was a cool sound on the effect. Definitely makes it a lot more brighter. OTT, because, you know, OTT. Phaser, I think that's helping to give a lot of that airiness to the sound. Yeah, dimension expander to give it a bit more stereoness. It works the exact same way as the dimension expander in Massive, just creating sort of a room sound effect. And this is Maximus. Basically, I'm pretty sure this is just a Soundgoodizer preset, because if you go to your menu here and you go to Soundgoodizer presets, oh hey, let's go check out another project file that used vocals that we actually recorded for this song. So we already knew that the vocals would be in the key of the track, which is pretty handy. We didn't need to like actual shift them or anything, so that's why there's no actual slice X being used here. However, all the vocal chops have been done in the playlist, which isn't wrong. You definitely can do vocal chops in the playlist. What I did here was use Pitcher to do a lot of formant pitch shifting, which makes the sound a lot more interesting.
Running, running, running wild. Running, running, running,
I had to bounce these vocal chops down because they're from a different project file, but they're literally just snippets taken from the vocal.
Running wild, living free.
It's just that vocal taken, but then chopped up. Like literally just take a snippet. And I think what helped me a lot with this was like using the slide tool. So I would have like as a chop here, and then I'd make another one. I'll just duplicate it like that, holding down shift and make another one. And then I'd get the slide tool, find another section of the track, and then do that again, and then create a sort of pattern doing that. So if you hear the vocal chops on their own, but I'm using Pitcher here to add a lot more. So you can see this big automation thing right here, and this is that formant shifter again, changing it from the left to the feminine side. It's pretty much the same pattern all the way through, except this automation is kind of keeps evolving those vocal chops. Here it's a lot more lower, and here's like a lot more higher. But then towards the ends of bars, they kind of go pitching up. And these notes, I believe, are just playing like the key of the track, but then just going from A to G to A to G. It's nothing too crazy. Like you can hear it without. And then because this is the exact same thing that I was talking about, like making a MIDI out and sending it to the same port. This time these are both being set to 0, which you can use that number as a port number, and then just using a note. And then you don't have to use G. I could have done C, or like. But I just chose to go from A to G to A to G to A to G. And then occasionally I use a vocoder. This has nothing to do with vocal chops, but I thought it was pretty cool. that's cool. That's all I really want to show on this one. I'm going to go to the dragon track now. Okay, so this is a drum and bass track which uses a lot of vocal chops. So again, I'm doing that technique of using the pitch bend slides just to make sure that they're on the note that I want, and whether that's in key or just a specific note just for the melody. I think what I've done here is for the second half, I just repeated the whole like melody that I had going on, but then yeah, like you can go down here to control and note find pitch, and then just turn them up an octave or down an octave if you wanted to. But I didn't want that. I wanted them all up an octave because I thought that'd be cool. There's some notes here that aren't the standard green. What that means is that it's playing a note in a different channel. Usually, you know, you can press whatever note you want and it's not going to make much of a difference. However, there are differences. You can do cool stuff with the notes. For instance, you have deck A and deck B, which means that if you chose this lighter green color, which is MIDI channel 2 instead of MIDI channel 1, then you're playing samples from deck B. So you could have a different acapella in there. If we go back to Slice X, you can see like, oh, we have deck A and then deck B, which is empty at the moment, but you could have another acapella in there, giving you even more acapella options. Another cool thing is that each of these colors works independently from each other. And by that I mean if I create a pitch bend with one of these bad boys, then that's affecting G. However, if I was to make a blue one, that wouldn't get affected because that pitch bend's green, so it's only going to affect that green note and not this blue note. So you can hear this, that's just saying the same thing all the time. And then you could like change it and then, you know, so you have them pitch bending in different directions. That gives you a lot of like flexibility with the sort of pitch bends that you're doing, and you can do some pretty interesting things like that. I think what I've done here as well is that I turned on the portamento mode. So not only do these little pitch bend things kind of create a small little slide, you know, the bigger you make them, then the more of that you hear. But portamento creates pitch bends between notes, and the more slide you add to it, then the more wonkier it's gonna get. Like if you make it so big, then it's gonna feel really slow and almost it will start to go off pitch. So it's not great to make it so long. You know, make it long enough that as you want, just not too long in my opinion. For the envelope, I made a little sort of attack and little release, and all these are really minute. They're just making sure that every time you play a sample it doesn't click, so there's like a little fade in to make sure that there's no clicks and pops. And then there's a split speak option, which is a pretty cool plugin. It's creating a harmony on a fifth, so the pitch is set to 7 semitones higher, so that's like a fifth above each note. I just mixed that in and layered it with the original version. EQ and some stereoizing, and then a reverb and delay. So this is my video about vocal chops and how I do vocal chops in a way that I don't think I've seen many other people talk about. So I hope that gives you some pretty cool new ideas and give you more inspiration on how you might want to make vocal chops for your own music. If you're into that, if that's still a thing. I don't know if people really want to make vocal chops anymore, because all these tracks that I made were like back in 2015. This was also my first time doing like an unscripted video. Like I just pressed record and started talking, and well, that's why this video is like how it is. I'm gonna ask you to do a favor for me. You see that thing down there? Yeah, that like button? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and smash that for me. Can you do that for me? Thanks. Thank you. Let me know like what other stuff you're interested in. I also do lessons these days, so if you liked the knowledge that I just shared with you but wanted even more, well, just hit me up. Everybody's come back for multiple times, so that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. Also, thank you very much for 100K subscribers. I haven't said that yet in an official video. I said it in a live stream, but I'm gonna say it again here because it's really cool. Didn't think I'd get here. I have a tick. Did you see that tick? That means it's official. It's YouTube official now. So that's really cool. Have a good day. I just wanted to say that. Okay.